White Sox lost. The Sox lose 6-3 in Minnesota. They are currently 0-2 in this 4-game series set. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. With me is the full CHGO White Sox crew. Down there is Vinnie Duber, our CHGO White Sox beat writer. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber. And the man that's usually in the middle but is to my right is Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him at Eckerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. And you can follow the show at CHGO_White Sox. I'm not sure if she's going to chime in and say hi, but Sarah is our producer.
Hi.
Hello. And we are here to talk about another White Sox loss. Herb in the Chain, my favorite Fleetwood Mac song. You know, we don't know Pedro or Foles, but you know, the chain of losses here. Where are we at? Is this game 5 of a potential 7-game losing streak of the current whatever? What are we calling this?
This is terrible. They are 3-21 to start the year. They started the year with 4 losses in a row, then won a game, then had 5 losses in a row, then won a game, then had 6 losses in a row, then won a game, and currently they lost 6 in a row.
So we're 1 away.
We are 1 away.
So you just have to endure 1 more loss. All right. Is it going to happen, Vinny? Can they win one of these? I mean, is it going to be 7 in a row, or is the prophecy going to be broken tomorrow, or will they never win again?
This is like listening to somebody kind of like trying to decipher what the back of a dollar bill means. This is just conspiracy theory radio right here. I'm not sure how on board I am with that, but hey, Herb, as long as the pattern keeps going, I guess you got something, right?
I mean, it's fun. So. It's very fun. The White Sox are doing something like they're losing in a nice, great pattern, and they're losing very fun and quickly too. I appreciate the White Sox doing what they are doing so far. If you're going to be bad, as we said already, be fun bad. And right now in April, this is fun bad for me.
Maybe 7 is the max, and maybe they lose tomorrow, right? And it gets up to 7, then they win on Thursday, and then hey, the chain is broken, and then they have a 6-game losing streak, and then a 5-game losing streak, and then a 4-game losing streak, and then a 3-game losing streak, and then a 2-game losing streak, and then it turns into like a win streak, maybe. So maybe by like
then they go
June?
Back up the ladder.
Yeah, right. Then they'll have a 7-game win streak. So if it reverses, they should be 81-81 if my math is correct. And this is math, right? Or is this just delusion?
It can be both.
Okay, all right. On today's show, we are going to be talking about Garrett Crochet's 6th MLB start. We'll be talking about Korey Lee, the transcendent star the White Sox have at catcher. And then we'll be wrapping it up with our thoughts on when the White Sox can actually win a series. Because with this loss tonight, they cannot win the series. They can, at best, tie. So as Herb's pointed out, only 3 wins in 24 games. Not good, not fun. Let us know what you think so far of the 2024 White Sox, and make sure you are hitting that like button. Cade Boy saying he loves your mustache, Vinny. Why don't you add some thoughts about Garrett Crochet's 4 innings? Well, 4, and then he faced a batter. So it's not 4 1/3 either, but let us know about what you thought about Garrett Crochet's 4 innings.
I mean, I'll be quite honest. I was surprised to see him go out there for the 5th. I mean, the efficiency was not there tonight. And we've talked about how important that is for not just Garrett, but a lot of White Sox pitchers, all pitchers really this season. And he didn't have it tonight. I think he threw over 30 pitches in that 4-run 2nd inning. But those pitches piled up in a hurry. And to get this guy to 85 pitches is not nothing, right? I mean, he's Garrett Crochet. He's a guy who they're supposedly monitoring the workload. They have to think about every time they let him go X pitches or X innings. And here he is at 85 pitches, getting out of that 4th inning with a pretty high number. And then, hey, the White Sox go and get within a run. And then they throw him back out there for the 5th, and then boom, his 2nd pitch is smoked for a double, and that runner ends up scoring. Another run ends up scoring in that inning, and boom, it's 6-3. That's your final score. So to see that was a little surprising. I get it, kind of though. I mean, I understand that, like, hey, this is Garrett Crochet. He's very good. You know, he's been good this year. Is this the guy that gives you the best shot at holding those Twins at that run total they had at the time, which was 4? Maybe, right? If you bring in Davy Garcia, there's really no guarantee that he's going to be the better option than a 85 pitch Garrett Crochet. So, it was a little surprising. It's a little understandable at the same time, but it was basically, I don't want to say it was the game because the White Sox didn't score any more runs after that, but it took a 1-run game. And by the end of that half inning, it was a 3-run game. And with the way that this White Sox offense goes, I mean, they had to get one of their runs tonight on a steal of home. It is not really as close as 3 runs maybe looks for other teams right now.
And I got to say, the first inning, he only threw 19 pitches, which is over the limit of where I like a pitcher to throw in an inning. 15 per inning should be what you're, or 15 or fewer should be what you're aiming for. But the Manuel Margot at bat is the one that drove up his pitch count in there. 9 pitch at bat, really good, even though eventually Manuel struck out there. Garrett exerted a lot of energy to get Manuel Margot, who is not really a good hitter. I mean, later in the game, he hit a double, but I think Garrett was trying a little too hard to strike these guys out instead of inducing weak contact, which we saw in the 3rd inning when he induced a double play, I think, by Byron Buxton. And I have to say this. I said it in a tweet. Laz Diaz is very lucky that Angel Hernandez exists and is an umpire, because he's the worst umpire in baseball. Because Laz Diaz literally missed 2 strikes in the zone for Garrett Crochet in that 2nd inning.
In the zone, Herb?
In the zone.
He was like right down the middle.
Yes. And, Garrett has to, pitch over those mistakes by Laz, which he didn't because the Twins scored the 4 runs there. But you can't have your home plate umpire, like, if they're borderline calls, you can understand. You can like, okay, I get it. But these were not borderline calls. These were strikes. And he missed those calls, and he was bad all night long. Missed a guy, Edward Julian, late in the game, getting hit on the foot. He told him he got hit in the foot. He had to go and check with New York. I'm like, come on, what are you watching? Where are you at? So, yeah, Garrett Crochet had a bad day, but Laz Diaz always has the worst day.
I didn't see the hit by pitch there. I was listening to Len and DJ, and I think what DJ ended up saying was Korey caught it. So he was just seeing, like, he was going off of what you hear. And I guess he didn't hear Julian get hit, and he just saw that Korey caught it. So he really only heard one thing. I honestly didn't think Laz Diaz had that bad of a night. Obviously, the 2nd inning was horrendous. I wrote down the 0-1 knee-high fastball to Martin. That was clearly called the ball, but it was center cut right down the middle, even above the knee a little bit. And then the 0-2 fastball to, I think, who was that one to? Was that to... Farmer?
He eventually struck him out. I forgot who it was.
He Cade Farmer.
Yeah,
he Cade Farmer and Buxton in that inning. So I think he ended up King Farmer. And it was an 0-2 pitch. Should have been strike 3 right there. And Crochet's hurt by that. But even outside of those 2 moments, I don't really love what we saw from Crochet today. And the last 3 starts haven't been great. You talk about the pitch count driving up. In the 1st inning, he threw 19 pitches. In the 2nd inning, he threw 33 pitches. That put him at 51 for the day. In the 3rd inning, he had 14 pitches, a very efficient inning, his most efficient of the day, had 66 after the 3rd. And then in the 4th inning, he had 19 pitches, had 85 after the 4th. And I thought he was done. We saw Davy Garcia warming up, as Vinny mentioned. And then he comes out, throws 2 pitches to Manny Margot, and finishes with 87 pitches on the day. And the velocity really wasn't there. And especially in the 5th inning, he threw 2 pitches. They were at 87, and it was a cutter. And his cutter is usually around like 92 at its worst. And then he sat with that fastball that Margot ended up doubling at 93. So it did seem like diminished stuff after he hit 70 pitches. And that's the biggest worry with Garrett Crochet, is how will he be able to withstand this? So far, we know Mike Clevenger's coming up. We know Brad Keller's coming up. After 3 difficult starts where you don't see him go past the 5th inning, do you start to wonder if he's going to get some days off here?
I don't know. Kind of. I think it would be in line with the way the White Sox have treated not just him already, but a few other guys as well over the past few years. Seeing an extra day here, an extra day there certainly makes sense. I don't think it's going to be something like a 10-day break or anything like that this early in the year. But listen, it's not going well for him right now, and that doesn't mean that they're not happy with how he's progressing from a physical standpoint. It's possible that he feels fine. He's just jacking that pitch count up, and he's got to come out of the game, a little earlier than he obviously would hope. It's about finishing innings, right? It's about finishing batters. That's the name of the game. And, after, those first 3 starts, we were so enamored with what he was able to do. He walked 1 guy in 3 starts. And then the last 3 starts, he's walked 7. And that's not a gigantic number, but it's also it is gigantic compared to 1 in 3 starts, right? And so we thought what we saw in the first 3 starts that he made was a guy who was just moving along at a really nice clip, and guys just weren't getting on base, right? And now here he's helping guys get on base, plus those hits are coming as well. He's not finishing off the innings quite as easily as he was in those first few starts. Remember, guys, chess match, right? And it's very easy for Garrett Crochet, the starter, who has never been a thing in the major leagues before this year, to go out there and say, hey, Detroit Tigers, hey, Atlanta Braves. Like he's surprising them a little bit, right, with what he's able to do, because he's a different pitcher as a starter than he was as a reliever. Now there's a book, as short as it might be, there's a book, and those hitters know what they're doing when it comes to game planning. Here's a guy that's got to make the adjustment back and make sure, because I think you tweeted it from the main account, or from our CHGO White Sox account, Sean. Early on, he looked good. His stuff looked good, right? But I just think then he got hit around. He walked a guy here, he walked a guy there, and you can't. Even though the Twins have struggled, you can't give major league lineups the chance to pounce on you, because they'll do it.
And yeah, I want to go back to that 4th inning where you're talking about, Vinny, where you didn't expect him to come back out for the 5th. The reason is because he started that inning with a getting guy on, then eventually got the double play ball. Then he goes, I think, let's see, a double to Castro.
The double.
And then he's got 0-2 to Jeffers. Like, he can't put him away. Jeffers eventually walks on that bat, and then eventually he gets Byron Buxton to strike out. If I'm Pedro Gaffal, if I'm Ethan Katz, I'm like, man, I've seen enough. That's 85 pitches. He struggled in 3 of his 4 innings that he's pitched in, and that's enough. We give him something positive to look at and say, hey, you struck out one of White Sox nemesis right with the fastball low in the zone. Good job. Man, it wasn't your best outing. You only gave up 4. Good job, sir. But no, bringing him back out for the 5th to just get that double hit off him is kind of weird to me.
Well, and I just want to add too, like that Castro double, that was a fastball that was 96, but it was middle. And then the Buxton K, you said it was low, but I wrote down middle as well at 96. He's making the same mistake. He just, the Twins went 1 for 2 on it. And I think that's the biggest thing, Vinny, is in the first 3 starts, we saw him make that mistake in a decent amount, throwing it right down the middle, but it was at 99, and it just gave that less of a reaction time for hitters, and he was getting whiffs. Sarah, if you want to flash up the pitch breakdown here, you could see that Garrett Crochet was not getting whiffs today. It ended up being 87 pitches. I didn't get those, but it ended up bringing the called strike whiff percentage from 20 to 21%, and 8 whiffs on 46 swings. 17% whiff rate is just not where Garrett Crochet has been. And I think part of this has to do with, you talk about the book being out on Garrett Crochet. I think it's more or less the White Sox not having the book on the Minnesota Twins, or maybe this is the Bannister effect where we want to be very fastball heavy. But Aaron Gleeman tweeted this out. On Monday, the White Sox threw 69% fastballs to the Twins. On Tuesday, they threw 66% fastballs to the Twins. On the season, the Twins are seeing the lowest percentage of fastballs at 50%. So they saw a massive increase up to 16 and 19% on Monday on the fastballs they saw. And then Garrett Crochet threw 2 innings, 75% fastball, and for the full game, 72% fastball. So maybe that is part of the thing, is the fastball just doesn't have that extra giddy up on it to get those whiffs, and the breaking stuff is fine. I thought maybe a little bit more changeup would have been nice today, because he had 2 really nice ones, and since they had a lot of righties in there, he wasn't really able to use that slider as a great whiff pitch, just because they kind of were able to tell if it was going to be low or not, or if it was going to be too in. So I don't know if the pitch mix is, again, this is kind of what I said at the start of the year. I don't know if the pitch mix is there if he's not throwing 99. And we saw 99 in the first inning, but when you're doing it and you're not able to have that in the 3rd and 4th inning, we see him getting touched up. Okay. All right. I think the other thing that I wanted to throw out there, there is just the trend of Major League Baseball throwing fastballs less and less. We saw that Brian Bannister came from tread, and now we're seeing more and more fastballs. I don't know if that's just because of the lack of true, blue chip players the White Sox have, but it's a trend we're seeing. We do want to throw out, and you're right, Grumpy Pig, maybe Crochet isn't as good as I want him to be. That's so true. What a uplifting comment. Thank you so much. Kevin Bryan with the super chat for $5. Tell Pedro I tried to flush this loss, but the toilet is backed up and there's sewage all over Jerry's bathroom floor. Send help. Good luck, Kevin. And Vinny, will you tell Pedro that?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
We appreciate
I tried,
it,
Kevin.
We
do appreciate it.
I don't know if anybody could tell Pedro anything. Might not make it Friday, man.
Oh, all right. I guess.
I mean, I have no inside information, but if you're coming back home and you got 3-22, it's gonna be like, yeah, it's real, man. Enjoy your time off.
Absolutely. We appreciate the super chat from Kevin Bryant, and we also appreciate our advertisers. So, Herb, if you want to let them know about what time it is.
It's game time. Rue, you shouldn't have to wait or worry about buying your tickets with Game Time. And Game Time is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. And with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. I've gone to Atlanta a couple times. 2 years ago, bought some tickets through Game Time. And actually, Game Time, I buy all my tickets through because of the Game Time guarantee. And this is one of the things that I wanted to check out when I went to Atlanta. So I checked all the rest of the secondary sites. One of them had a lower price in the same row and section that I bought on Game Time. Sent this information to Game Time. And within 12 minutes of my time, I had 110% of the difference into my Game Time account. And Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. You see the views from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. And with all-in prices, show your total up front so you know that you're getting a great deal without the fees. And they're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money. Game Time has deals right up to the start of the event and even an hour after that event starts. It's the place to go for last-minute seats. And with zone deals, you pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, for an average of 18% savings. And the Game Time guarantee that I just told you about will always get the best price. You find the tickets in the same section and row for less. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app now, create an account, use the code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
Oh, it's your turn, superstar.
Oh.
What do we want to talk about?
Oh, what do you think I want to talk about, Sean? I want
Beer.
to talk about beer. Exactly. I want to talk about the fine folks at the Leinenkugels Brewing Company up there in Wisconsin, because they've innovated something fantastic. They've decided to take beer, and everybody has beer, but they've decided to take lemonade, beer, smash them together, kind of crank them together a little bit, shake it up, and out comes Summer Shandy, the delicious concoction that we love throughout these summer months here in the Midwest and really all over the world. You can have a Summer Shandy for your wonderful summertime activities, whether you're going down to the lake for a picnic, maybe you're going down to the rate for a tailgate, maybe you want to go up to Wisconsin, paddle around in a canoe. Summer Shandy, and a whole lot of it, is a perfect reason or a perfect accompaniment for all of those activities. But hey, maybe you want something else. Maybe you want a little Lakeside Cherry. Maybe you want a little Sunset Wheat or a Liney's Original, or hey, a Honey Vice, which of course is made with real Wisconsin honey, made by real Wisconsin bees. So all of that is fantastic. You should buy it and drink it. That's my recommendation. Flavor life's simple moments with Leinenkugels, the official craft beer of the CHGO White Sox. Go to Liney.com/CHGO to find delivery options near you. That's LEINIE.com/CHGO, or pick up Leinenkugels pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Leinenkugels, flavor the moment, celebrate responsibly. The Jacob Leinenkugel Brewing Company in Chippewa Falls. Yes.
All right. Sarah, I don't know if we have the graphic that I just threw in Slack. Boom. Look at that. So Blank Name and I believe it was Fred bring up the key for Crochet getting back on track is the changeup. He has to throw it. He needs something that looks like a fastball, but it's not one. And then Blank Name follows up by saying Crochet has to confidently throw his changeup in any situation and throw it more often. I don't disagree, especially this year being a what's it called? A year to gain experience. Figure out what you have and try to get as much experience with every pitch as possible, especially when you're going up against right-handers. I think the cutter was effective, but when it's not having the velocity it usually does, it's not as effective to a right-hander. So the changeup we did see be fairly effective. And then Fred saying Crochet's pitch mix is more bullpen than starter, it looks like. Sarah, if you want to throw that back up, these are where Crochet was locating his fastball and cutter, and he had 72% of these pitches, and you could just see the red heat map low in the zone and even middle. And I think that's the biggest issue with Crochet. And, stop me if you heard this before, but a White Sox pitcher has a really good fastball that he needs to throw up in the zone. I think that's the key to Garrett Crochet. It's location, and if you're not going to be able to have 99, locating that 96 high in the zone, I think it would be more effective to Crochet. I think he has the stuff. I still believe that he could be the big hook, the Randy Johnson for this team. I know that is comparing him to a Hall of Famer who's like 300 innings in 4 straight years. But still, I really do think that there is superstardom in Garrett Crochet, and I think it's more about just location and trying to find that consistent 96 to 98 and not sinking down to 94. And thank you to Dave too for the $2 super chat. Anything else you guys want to add on to Crochet? Oh, Herb, you want to? You're excited to, but you're muted.
Of course I am. I think they're right, and you guys are right too, because Randy Johnson, I don't believe, started his career like on fire. I think he was either a Mariner or a Expo. Yeah, it's an Expo. I mean, he had a 4.82 ERA in his first year of full baseball, and then he eventually worked his way into being the big unit eventually. So he was 24 when he started his career also. So I think that Garrett has some learning to do. And like the people have said, yes, he has a bullpen mix right now where he's heavy fastball and couldn't really throw a slider today. He'll eventually learn what works in the major leagues and what doesn't, because 99 in the middle of the zone is good, but other teams love that pitch, especially the Minnesota Twins, because they attack fastballs like no other. And so he needs to know that, like last night where F.A.S.T was, okay, I don't want to throw a bunch of sleepers to these left-handers because they're going to tag me. So I'll throw a lot of sinkers, which the Minnesota Twins are not good against, and I'll get good results, the 11 strikeouts. Game to game, you got to change the game plan. I know that it was his first time throwing with Korey Lee, so he had to get a different rhythm than he's used to than what he's used to with Martin Maldonado. But those two have to work together, because I think Korey Lee will be here for a decent long amount of time, and I know that Garrett Crochet, if he stays healthy, will be here for a decent amount of time too.
Well, and let's, before he needs to worry about becoming Randy Johnson, maybe he needs to worry about, completing 6 innings on a regular basis. Completing 5 on a regular basis. I think right now it's about efficiency. And obviously everything goes together, right? You need your pitches to be working in order to get that deep into a game. You need your stuff to be doing what you want it to. You need to be limiting runs. But certainly what we saw from Garrett Crochet today was not necessarily a bump in the road. Maybe it was a little bit more about, a trend of the last 3 games of hey, you need to get deeper into a game. You need to be able to put batters away, finish off innings, because that's how you become Randy Johnson, is by actually racking up them innings.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. And hey, it's fair to put a bucket of water on this because, again, Randy Johnson is an insane and unfair ceiling to set to Garrett Crochet. But what if I told you, Vinny, all right, Mr. What's party pooper? What if I told you that Crochet has 7 letters in it? Johnson has 7 letters in it.
Back with the conspiracy theories. We're back at we're on the flip side of the dollar bill again, guys. Come on now.
Okay. All right. Maybe I don't have something there. All right. We'll figure it out. We'll see in 10 years who's right, who's wrong. It'll play out. Anyways, I do want to talk about one more Garrett Crochet play, but it's less about Garrett Crochet. Willie Castro came up, his first at bat. He's the 9 hitter, and apparently the 9 hitters for the White Sox and Twins were the best hitters today, so maybe they should be batting a little bit higher. Willie Castro had a double and a home run, and John Triffin was very nice to him, wishing him a happy birthday. And he said, we want to send our best wishes to Willie Castro on his birthday, but we don't want him to have a happy birthday at the plate. Crack home run, and then Willie Castro has a happy birthday trot around the bases as he hit a 3-run home run. So I don't know. John was interesting today. You bring up the 2 bad calls by Laz Diaz, and in that inning, John Triffin complained about the lack of umpire consistency in the Sox favor so far this year. And he also said, where are we as a game of baseball after the 0-2 outside fastball to Kyle Farmer wasn't called a strike? So, hey, sounds like John Triffin wants robo-umps.
Sounds like he's lobbying to be the next Hawk Harrelson is what it sounds like.
Yeah, he's starting to get there. You could tell. He's like, the other day when the White Sox got jobbed, he was really pissed. And today he got real pissed at Laz Diaz. So, yeah, it's going to take a little bit to get John into his White Sox broadcaster mode. But he's getting there. He's getting some of that positivity out of him because that 3 wins in 24 games is rough on him. And now he's like, hey, don't be screwing my guys. Let's go. Get on to it.
Isn't that what we saw in that documentary? Isn't that Paul Konerko's all-time favorite Hawk line? This is an American League umpire who has no idea what he's doing.
What are you doing, Wegner? Yeah, I miss him. I honestly do. It's not nothing against John Triffin. I'm not trying to be mean to him. I should probably even stop tweeting out his quotes. It's probably just rude of me, I guess. So I'll guess I'll cool it on that. It's a developmental year for everybody. All right. John Triffin, Garrett Crochet, even Korey Lee. Let's go to Korey Lee, the 9-hitter for the White Sox. He hit a home run today. Joe Ryan was fantastic for Minnesota. He was heavily featuring his fastball, 61% forcing fastball. The White Sox had 10 whiffs on 29 swings. That's not so good. And Joe Ryan also had 10 called strikes on that pitch, 36% called strike plus whiff percentage on that four-seam fastball. But 2-0 count. And he tries to sneak over a slider, and he hangs it up in the zone. And after a Kevin Pillar solo homer that made it 4-1, Korey Lee, the budding star at catcher, makes it 4-2. Our pal Melissa in the chat is saying that it's time for Korey Lee to be the starter. Is that time now? Vinnie Duber, I ask you. When it comes to the Rays series coming up, right? They're playing the Rays?
Correct.
They're playing the Rays. When it's coming to the Rays series, is Korey Lee going to be starting catcher, Korey Lee?
I mean, there certainly seems to be a better chance of that happening than there was yesterday, or that there was at any time leading up to the season. Because, hey, we saw it happen today, right? And I think Pedro even talked about it in the pregame to the folks who were up there in Minnesota, because Garrett Crochet had worked with Martin Maldonado up to this point, and now it's like, all right, well, Korey Lee, go out there and do it. Pedro even used the line that he used probably all too frequently last year and into this year, which is, we got to put out the best lineup to win a baseball game every day, kind of hinting that Korey Lee, at least today, was the better choice over Martin Maldonado. And certainly I think most people who have watched this team through 24 games would tell you that he's offensively, at the very least, the better choice on a daily basis right now with how badly Martin Maldonado is struggling at the plate. And, give Korey Lee his due. He's looked good. So is he going to be the everyday starter? I don't know if we're quite there yet. I still insist, even though the folks watching him hit on a regular basis are certainly going to disagree. I still insist that they are getting what they want out of Martin Maldonado when it comes to working with the pitchers. But here is a young pitcher who needs to be worked with, right? And in Garrett Crochet, and who was it out there today? It was Korey Lee, because the White Sox are trying to win games, as difficult as it has been for them through the first month of the season. So are we going to see Korey Lee start a whole lot more? In the short term, it is a real possibility, because he's swinging a good bat. Martin Maldonado is not swinging any bat at all, so to speak of. And there are guys out there who need to be worked with, Garrett Crochet being one of them, but he's getting Korey Lee tonight. It certainly showed me that Pedro Grifol is comfortable throwing Korey Lee out there with any real combination of pitcher. We'll see. Obviously, Jonathan Cannon is still a part of this rotation. We'll see when he starts who the backstop is. But right now, Korey Lee's the kind of earning that job over Maldonado, as much as I do continue to think that Maldonado is providing value when he is back there in terms of working with the pitchers.
Besides just the home run he hit, the 5th inning, it was Braden Shoemake who got on base, stole second, stole third, I believe, and then scored on the double steal.
He went to second on Korey Lee's walk.
Okay. Then stole third, and then stole home on the double steal with Korey Lee there. Like, you see Korey Lee moving and getting things started. In that inning, Korey Lee worked the walk there. So Like these things you're not seeing from not only Martin Maldonado, but from Korey Lee of last year. You can see the improvement the guy has worked on. And even on the pass ball or the wild pitch that Davy Garcia threw that eventually scored Max Kepler, Korey Lee did everything you want a catcher to do. He got in front of the ball, hit it with his chest protector. The ball just went astray to the other side of the field, and then Max Kepler scored. So I thought that Korey Lee played a good game. It was 1 for 2 at the plate with a walk, a run scored, and a run driven in. I think that, yeah, the time has come for him to be inserted as the catcher that gets the most starts here on the White Sox. I know that Martin Maldonado will play his fair share, if not most of the games, but they got to see it. They got to see what's been going on already. Martin has never been a hitter, and the last couple of years has been even more woeful. And if he's not going to even provide anything, even not the power bat that he had, the 15 home runs last year, his impact to me, even though it usually is worked off the field, is nothing because it's not really working because they're pitching fastballs to the Minnesota Twins who crush fastballs. So preparation is not there for Martin Maldonado like it should be. Same thing with Korey Lee, but he's a young catcher that can work into that. Martin Maldonado is an old dog. You can't teach new tricks. So I think you should be going to Korey Lee for the majority of the starts until the end of the year, and then think about next year where you're going to have Korey Lee and maybe Edgar Carroll going into 2025 because that man is tearing up Double-A right now.
Yeah, let's take a break. We'll talk a little bit more about Korey Lee and the young catchers that they could call up. I also don't know if they will call up just because the ones that are young are very young and the ones that are in AAA aren't so good. All right, why don't we take a break and let the people know? I guess it's my break. I'm going to be doing all of it about Circa Sports. If you are looking to bet against the White Sox each and every day, go check out our friends over at Circa Sportsbook. They're helping us throw our draft party tomorrow as the Bears have the number 1 and number 9 overall picks. They'll be hanging out with us on Joe's on Wheat Street, not only on Thursday, but Friday as well. So you can go check out allchgo.com/events to check out that party we're throwing with our friends over at Circa Sports Illinois. You can go download the app at circasports.com/Illinois-app. That's circasports.com/Illinois-app. Games over there will strive to be a -110 split on the Circa Sports menu, unlike other sports books, which may use a -115 or -120 split. So tomorrow you're going to lay Twins -1.5 on the run line. It will likely be -110 over at Circa, and those other pesky sports books will likely be at -115 or -120, which means you are getting the best bang for your buck. And Circa does not limit players based on their winnings. Every player has the same limits, unlike other books who do limit winning players. So go check out our friends over at circasports.com/Illinois-app today to sign up with the world's largest sports book. If you or somebody you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537, text GMB to 833-234, visit areyourreallywinning.com. We also want to let you know about our friends over at Chevy. Drive home a winner this April after visiting our partner, Ray Chevrolet. They're sharing their best offers of the year. So make your way over to Ray Chevrolet on Route 12 in Fox Lake to join in on the savings. As one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories. Plus, you can find the perfect tailgating vehicle for a limited time. They're offering 0% financing for 72 months on new Silverados with over 100 available. I wanted to say only, and there's no only in the read, and that was really throwing me off. And to top it all off, they're pricing over 125 vehicles under 20,000. Seriously, can pricing get more affordable?
I don't know. Can it?
Yes, it can, because the word free is involved. You can get a free oil change at Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake when you mention CHGO, a free oil change. All you need to do is mention CHGO when scheduling your oil change. Start off the new year right and schedule it by April 30th. Visit Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Find new roads. And we also want to shout out our guy Charlie, who's hanging out with us in the chat. We always like Illinois pork producers, and we know that Charlie uses Illinois pork producers to make that lovely bacon. So shout out to Charlie for hanging out with us. And I don't want this to be a defense of Maldonado, because when I'm saying the White Sox won't fire Grifol, it seems like that's kind of being construed as I don't want them to. I'm fine if they get rid of Martin Maldonado. I'm fine if they get rid of Pedro Grifol. I'm not trying to be too emotionally attached to anyone on the Chicago White Sox right now, because they have been so disappointing as they've won 3 games in 24 games total. I think the issue is, though, there is no one in AAA. Right now, it's Adam Hackenberg and Chucky Robinson. Those guys are not major league guys. Maybe Hackenberg would be a guy that gets called up in September, but I think he would really need to start hitting at some point for that to really be a thing that's getting pushed. And Edgar Caro is only 21. I understand that he's been hot so far, but I would like to see him at AAA before they're just throwing him into the deep end of Major League Baseball. So I think the biggest thing is when Max Stassi is available to come off the 60-day IL, what do they do? And I think I'd be really upset if they send Korey Lee down to AAA to go get as many starts possible, and then they run with Martin Maldonado and Max Stassi. I think we're at the point you have to decide whether you want Stassi or Maldonado and then eat the money on those players when that happens. But right now, you have Maldonado and Korey Lee can't start every game because catching's hard, and that's why he's batting ninth too, because they want to have him have the freshest at-bats as possible. So if he's going to get the least amount of at-bats, we'll at least have 3 great at-bats from Korey Lee, or at least that's my thinking.
Yeah, I think basically everything you said right there, Sean, makes plenty of sense. I don't think Korey Lee is going to end up going anywhere because he's earned a spot now, right? And I think, it was only a little while ago when I asked Pedro about, in regard to Korey Lee, hey, you were all about the competition and the competition during spring training. Does that carry over into the regular season? And he said, absolutely, it does. And so if that's the case, Korey Lee's going to be here because he's earned a spot. I'll go back to the fact that, just because Maldonado is hitting what he's hitting, and boy, is it bad, he's not nothing. And I understand folks don't want to hear that, and that's fine because he's not making a big enough difference to keep them from being 3-21. But I do think that, like you bring up, right? If it's between Maldonado or Stassi, there is an attribute. There is an answer to the question, and I think that there is an attribute there. Nothing against Max Stassi, but it's proven to be a talking point about Maldonado for years now in terms of the game planning and what he's able to do in his work with the pitching staff. That might not excite anybody. Obviously, it's not winning them many baseball games, but it's something. And if you're like, why is this guy on the roster? There's your answer.
I hear you, Vinny. I hear you. But like most fans will say, it's not tangible. You can't see it. Nothing's happening with it. It's not, that Martin Maldonado preparation led to that great White Sox pitching. The pitching is pretty bad. They're one of the worst starting rotations in baseball, one of the worst relieving corps in baseball. So that's why White Sox fans will jump back and say, I can't see it. I can't touch it. I can't feel it. I can't hear it. So that's why it falls usually on deaf ears.
Totally understand. It's a perfectly understandable reaction to have.
Again, I think I said it yesterday, Fangraphs tells me Martin Maldonado sucks, so I don't really care how hard he works. But I do wonder, too, we've heard that his game planning has helped White Sox pitching. And as Herbs brings up fairly, the White Sox rotation and bullpen has been bad, and they've also sucked. So it's tough to be like, wow, look at the Martin Maldonado game plan. They've won 3 of 24 games. But I wonder, too, having that veteran presence, we love that word, how that might have changed Korey Lee at the plate. I don't know if that's a story there, Vinny. Maybe, the idea of having a better idea of what we're going to do and then having a better idea of, hey, how would I plan if I'm catching Joe Ryan? That helps me set up better for the situation. If I'm in 2-0 and I get a hanging slider or I'm looking for a fastball, I can wait back and crush anything that's, high up in the zone. So I do wonder if maybe that is where the Korey Lee presence has been veteranized, if that's a word.
Well, what I would say is maybe less so than what you're talking about. Certainly what you're saying is possible, but I think more so it's about Korey Lee as a catcher, right? And the idea is they really liked what they saw from him in terms of kind of the ability, right, to be behind the plate. We talked just the other day about how good his arm is, throwing from the catching spot there against would-be base stealers. But Korey Lee, when he came over here, you'll remember, came from the Astros, where he played with Martin Maldonado, and he complimented Martin Maldonado and talked about him as an influence on him. And that was a very brief period of time in which Korey Lee got to work with Maldonado at the big league level with the Astros. Here is a much longer period of time, right? Now that Maldonado is part of the White Sox and Korey Lee gets this opportunity because of the injury to Max Stassi, maybe Korey Lee becomes a better catcher because of this. Have we thought about that kind of thing? So listen, I'm not trying to defend a guy with a sub 100 batting average in terms of, oh, you got to play him every day because it's going to turn around kind of thing. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there are things that go on that don't show up on Fangraphs that teams value. And from being around team brass and from talking to guys at spring training and throughout the season, I mean, I can tell you that that's the answer to the question why. It doesn't mean it's the answer to the question should, but it's the answer to the question why. And so I'm trying to provide that for folks. Whether they are mad at me for doing so or whatever is up to them.
I'll try to connect all of this. Maybe we should be asking the question, why to Fangraphs isn't your site better? Hey, I mean, these teams value other things. Why aren't you including those into your website? But also, I think like you're right that maybe Korey Lee is becoming a better catcher, but it's still not showing up. And then when John Triffin in the second inning again is saying like, oh, where are we as a game of baseball? Our boys in black are getting screwed out here. It's like, well, the White Sox are the worst framing team in all of baseball. So maybe it's less about the umpires being horrible on a consistent basis, and maybe it's the catchers framing the pitches horribly, and that's the issue there. I don't also think those two pitches specifically were framed horribly by Korey Lee because they were strikes right down the middle, and they should have been called strikes. But still, like maybe the lack of that consistency is because the catching isn't there. And I think Maldonado is at a point where, I mean, you've been catching for 15 years. I can't do it for 15 seconds without falling over. It seems incredibly difficult, and I can't believe what that type of wear and tear does to your knees. So at the point of 37, I'm not surprised that he would be, kind of washed when it comes to catching and hitting. All right. One other positive. Hey, we said it yesterday. The affiliates won every game, and they did it again today. So if there is a bright spot, every team besides the White Sox in the White Sox organization is winning. Yay. Is that anything? Are people happy about that? No.
I mean, it's better than losing. They used to lose all the games last year. So, yeah, it's better. Winning is important. And don't they want the youngsters to learn how to win and to grab W's while they're doing some development down there? I know that they don't really care about wins and losses, but while you're developing these players, have some winning players. And I'll put those in quotes because I don't believe in the term that guy's a winner because, it's baseball. It's a individual sport played within a team concept. So you have to depend on your rest of your teammates. So it's really a nebulous term, but it's better to lose or to win down there than to lose while you're developing, getting paid nothing.
True.
Eating peanut butter jelly sandwiches. But also I know this is usually the segment where you bring up something that Andrew Benintendi did poorly, Sean.
And
I'm surprised you didn't yet.
All right,
Are you going to bring it up?
I got James Fegan's quote here. Pedro Grifol said there was a 90% catch probability on Max Kepler's fifth inning bloop single that dropped between Andrew Benintendi and Paul DeYoung. Quote, I'll have to talk to both of those guys to see why that play wasn't made. And if you didn't see it, the ball was hit over DeYoung. DeYoung was running back on it, trying to, do a little Braden Shoemake impression there. I was going to say, hey, Braden Shoemake reinvented it with the goatee. Have they won a game since the goatee happened?
No. The goatee is gone, Sean.
Was it gone?
He's just got a mustache and a soul patch now. And that's why he was able to steal multiple bases today.
And get
so
that
he really is Garth Knight.
Now he's Garth Knight, exactly. Well, Loy Vaught, back to school, and Garth Knight reference. Thank you, Herb, for keeping it light and fresh.
But yes, that ball that Kepler hit had a expected batting average of 0.60. And then he did it again in the seventh inning where he hit a ball that had an expected batting average of 210 and went for a double there. Like on that first ball, that's Andrew Benintendi's ball. Like 100% it's his ball. He's got to call DeYoung off and run in there, sprint in there and catch that ball. I think that keeps the game, at 4-3 at that point? So it's within distance. That ball drops in, goes to 5-3, and then eventually Kepler scores on the pass ball or the wild pitch. So the game is pretty much out of hand by that time. But that is a winning play if we're going to talk about winners, where your outfielder takes charge, what he's supposed to, and calls off the infielder and catches a ball that's been in the air for 78 years.
We're talking about this on a daily basis now. I mean, we really are. And it's been very noticeable. I think, listen, obviously you read off the expected batting averages. The first one that we're talking about should have been less of a hit than the second one. but the second one, there's not even the idea that you're going to crash into anybody. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that maybe there's some confusion or tentativeness because you don't want to collide and cause an injury or something like that when you've got the infielder and the outfielder coming together. The second one that you're talking about there, Herb, it's Andrew Benintendi and the foul line. He's not gonna crash into anybody, and it drops. And we've seen this over and over and over again. I'm very interested. I'm very interested to hear from Pedro or Andrew or somebody about, is there, what is the difference? Because we're seeing this so often.
Well, that Kepler one that you're talking about in the seventh inning is very, very similar to the Jeffers double from yesterday. 93% catch odds, and then it had a hang time of 4.8 seconds, just like the other one. It was hit basically in the same area. And what Pedro said yesterday about the Jeffers one was that they were in no doubles defense, which I find hilarious because both of these hits end up being doubles. So it's like, oh, well, we're trying not to give up a double. And here's Andrew Benintendi not going towards the game plan and giving up a double because, again, he's not taking charge at it. And there was the one play that he made closer to the actual stands, but that's because it's more of a straight line. It's not an actual hustle play where you have to get up and get as fast as you can onto your horse and get to that ball. He's just not fast enough. He's not skilled enough. He's not athletic enough. And I don't know if we're going back to Hawkaroo, if he's got the TW in him.
Are these, well, I mean, I wouldn't even go that far, but I mean, I guess the idea is, are we noticing so much of a difference with these plays this year versus last year because Tim Anderson and Yoan Moncada would get out there and at least be close? Like, is the idea is it's like, why is this ball dropping in front of Benintendi when there's nobody else around? Because last year, there were people around because those two guys are very good athletes. Tim had his own defensive problems. Moncada's an excellent defender. Moncada's been out for most of the year so far because he's been hurt. Tim's on another team. Is that have something to do with that? I'm just speculating here because it doesn't seem like we saw this from Benintendi with this regularity last season.
I know that it's why am I calling out someone's will to win or aggressiveness, but I don't think he's aggressively playing these balls. And then also with the DeYoung one, that's his ball. I know that he has a longer place to run to, and DeYoung ends up being there, but he's charging in. And Stone said that exactly. Like, I don't know what Benintendi's doing there. He's charging in on the ball. He has to take, control there. There was those plays that we brought up, the bloop doubles that end up happening. And then there's also a ball that Pilar and him converge on, and it's Pilar that needs to step up and make that call because I feel like Benintendi's not going to do it. And I know that the center fielder obviously has, it's a center fielder's ball for sure. But again, I don't know if that's Dominic Fletcher, if that call is being made, and if there's proper communication there, because I don't think he's aggressive enough to set that tone. I think he'll try to make a play, but again, I don't think that he'll make the play every single time just because there isn't a true aggressiveness there.
I'm going to provide some sunshine for Andrew Benintendi lovers out there. He pulled a double today, 102 miles per hour. That's the end. I think that's his first one, right? His first pulled double.
Yep. First pulled double since I think September 18th, 2023.
Yeah, but he's I don't know what's wrong with him. I don't know what's wrong with Andrew Vaughn. Just both of them are lost. And some would say he's taking his struggles at the plate out to the field, because you could be bad at the plate and you could have a slump, even a year-long slump. But sometimes you got to get the plays done out in the field. Are not like 4-star catches. They're not the hardest catches in the world. They're balls way up in the air, where as a left fielder, you have plenty of time to get under those balls and catch them and secure them. You're not supposed to be the best fielder in the world, but you don't have an arm. You're supposed to catch every ball that's supposed to be caught. And if you do that, I think most fans will be like, yeah, Andrew, you suck at the plate, but at least you're making all the plays out in the field. He's not doing that. So where's his value? Where does he actually give the White Sox value, and you're going to play every day other than a salary? There's nothing there. And so when all these players that the White Sox are bringing up, like the Tommy Phams of the world, I would like to see Andrew Benintendi sit some bench, because if we're doing meritocracy, if we're showing the youngsters that you play right, you get to play, he can't be in the lineup every day like he's been in the lineup most every day. Playing like this, where he's not really hitting, and he can't catch any ball in the air, and he can't throw anybody out. Damn, who's running on him? Carlos Santana's out here running on him.
It wasn't Santana. Was it Margot?
No, I think it was Carlos Santana. Like went on him. Like there was a ball.
Advance from second to third. I think
Yeah.
Castro hit the double. I think it might have been Castro.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, that's Andrew Benintendi with the ball. I'm good. I'm
right. I can walk. I can jog. I mean, I find it interesting that we have 100+ viewers and there's only 43 likes, as Kevin mentioned. Make sure you hit that like button. We'd appreciate it. But I also find it interesting again, like you need more veterans for sure in that locker room. But Benintendi was there for a year and we've never heard him talked about as a vocal leader. I don't really think that's a guy that's setting a tone in the locker room. I'm not there. I don't know what it's like. I could be wrong on that, but that's just me. It doesn't seem like Benintendi's a guy that's going out there and leading and rallying the group. But again, I have limited experience in that clubhouse. Anyways,
I guess what I would say is he doesn't have to. Right?
I mean
maybe he's just not that kind of guy.
He's played 6+ years in Major League Baseball. I think it'd be something that, I mean, what you need, Kevin Pillar can bring it?
Well, it's just a personality thing, isn't it?
I guess
that's what I would say. I mean,
I guess
again, I'm not saying he is or he isn't. I'm just saying from talking to him, he's the guy who told us all how boring he was, right? I mean, I don't think the idea was we're going to bring in Benintendi and he's going to be screaming at the top of his lungs in the locker room. Now maybe he is, and I don't know because that's not the part we see. But he's the guy who, talk to Rick Hahn, talk to the front office. They're the ones who signed him to the contract.
Oh, I know you didn't sign him to the contract, and I would love to talk to Rick Hahn about Andrew Benintendi. If he would give me 5 minutes, I would be so excited. Rick Hahn, please call me. I will give you my phone number. I would say it right now, but I don't think he's watching.
I'm sure he watches. Send the invite out. Yeah, Rick, come on the show. We'll love to interview about this White Sox team.
If anyone has Rick Hahn's phone number, text him that Sean Anderson wants to talk to him about Andrew Benintendi. Maybe the Andrew Benintendi part we'll loop him in. Anyways,
that doesn't sound like it's going to be a winning sales pitch.
No. In 2022, I didn't bring this up. Korey Lee had a 483 slugging percentage. It wasn't the PCL, so take this with a grain of salt. In 20 doubles and 25 homers. So I think that the slugging percentage where it's at around 420, I don't think that's like crazy. I think that could be a bar that he stays at. I think the on base percentage will likely go down. We'll probably see a little bit of a K rate go up at the plate. But I think Korey Lee's interesting. And again, I guess the part bringing that up about him and his personality trait, it doesn't seem like he's aggressive in left field or being a leader in left field. So I guess it just seems like I don't expect him to be yelling and screaming at guys in the clubhouse, but hey, can you yell in the outfield to catch a damn fly ball? I'd appreciate that. Anyways, any other things that we want to bring up? There's one more non-game related stuff that I want to talk about.
I mean, I'd throw him a bone for playing fast. That shoemake run that was created was exactly what they set out to do, right? I mean, I think James distilled it real well in his tweet at the end of the game saying, they banked this offseason on being able to pitch well and play good defense so there wasn't so much pressure on the offense. And yet here they are allowing all these runs, in every game of this road trip today of how it was supposed to go, right? Which is, maybe the offense isn't going to be hitting home runs all the time. Granted, they hit 2 tonight, but Shoemake bunts himself onto first base with a surprise bunt, plays the defense just like Herb loves. It's the kind of bunting that Herb loves. And then you get a walk from Korey Lee. Then Shoemake steals third very aggressively, putting the A in fast right there, right? And then Pedro's able to call that double steal that we've seen now a few times. Remember we heard Pedro say in spring training that having a team that can do these kind of things, having a roster that is better suited to doing these kind of things would make him manage differently. And no matter what you want to say about Pedro, he wasn't calling double steals last year. And so there are guys on this team now that maybe can do that a little bit better. It's been effective now in multiple situations. Braden Shoemake gets credited with a steal of home, but really I think the steal of third was more impressive. I thought the bunt for the single was more impressive. That's the way they envisioned this kind of thing playing out. And to be fair, if you've been sitting around wondering why is Braden Shoemake still on the team, it's because he can do stuff like that.
Let's go. I love the fast. I do wonder when teams will kind of smarten up though. The Sox have a run around first. I bet they're probably going to try to steal second and send that guy home for third. It's worked, 3 times now? Shoemake had the first one and wasn't a true steal of home. Then Benny had the second one, and then Shoemake does it again today. It's the first steal of home accredited to the White Sox. It's Elvis Andrus. So I miss him. I know that we called up Danny Mendick. What's Elvis Andrus doing? What's Zach Greinke doing? I mean, don't these guys need like career accomplishments? Isn't it time to, we talked about the youth movement. I want to see 39-year-old Zach Greinke get 3,000 Ks. Why not? This is 3-21. What are we going to do? A post-game show tomorrow?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll do a post-game show tomorrow. Sounds good. We'll see you guys at, I think, around 3:45 or so for the finale of the White Sox and Twins series. Is it the finale?
It is.
I thought it was a 4-game set.
It is.
That's the fourth
This
game.
is the third game?
Yeah. I know it's gone by fast.
Guys, I said that they've only lost 2, that they split the series already.
Oh,
No one clocked me on that. It took
Sorry.
55 minutes for us to be clear that the White Sox have lost 3 straight to the
I mean,
Twins.
I said they lost 6 in a row, Sean. So
That's true, and I didn't. I'm not the math guy. Vinny's the math guy.
And speaking of being the math guy, hopefully we're on before 3:45 because tomorrow's game starts at 12:10 Central Time.
I agree.
Yeah, that would suck.
Thought it was a 1:10. My bad. All right, we'll see you around 2:45 then.
That's
for
the
White Sox game. 2:30 even. Hey, why not? And we'll see people out at the draft party Thursday. Thank you to Alejandro for hanging out with us. If you haven't become a diehard yet, check out allchgo.com to sign up to become a diehard. We got a weekly newsletter that comes out every Monday from our guy Vinnie Duber. You have a CHGO Discord channel that you get to chat with other diehards with, and you get a shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker when you sign up. Thank you to Vinnie Duber, our CHGO White Sox beat writer. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber. You can follow the show at CHGO_White Sox. Thank you to Sarah for producing the show. Thank you to Herb Lawrence, our CHGO White Sox community leader. You can follow him at EctorWall23. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. We will talk to you tomorrow. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.